Hello again, and welcome back. This is part 2 of the Minecraft Master Mode devlog series. Since last time, I have added in 7 new variations of various mobs you're going to find in your world, and by various I mean the big 4, which entail the zombie, the skeleton, the creeper, and the spider. Last time we saw the creation of the first zombie variant, which was the tank, and I walked you through the development process of that. But off camera, I have made, again, 7 new variations of existing mobs, and I'm going to show kind of what they are, how they work, special behaviors and whatnot, and at the end we'll also go over a couple of other little mechanics and things that I've tweaked just with the game in general, just kind of as a means of documenting the development and documenting the process of the creation of this data pack. Thanks to everyone who gave ideas and supportive comments and everything on the last episode. I do really appreciate it, and it did give me kind of a spark to make some of the enemies you see in this video, as well as ones that will be shown in future videos as well. So again, thank you for that. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and showcase some of the new stuff. So the first mob variant on our list is the Mother Zombie, which is just a variation of the normal zombie alongside the tank zombie that we saw last time. The Mother Zombie is a zombie that is about 75% the size of a normal zombie, and it spawns with a baby zombie on its head. Now, this mob variant is loosely inspired by the boss from the video game The Binding of Isaac Rebirth called Gemini, that behaves in a manner similar to the way that this zombie behaves. Obviously, you can see it's just like walking around and chasing me like any zombie would, but the idea is, here's this big hitbox, right? This lower zombie is a very easy to hit and easy to kill target, but when you kill it, the little guy on his head is going to drop down, and so like in the game, the little guy will, you know, gain speed and become much more aggressive and able to actually kill you than it otherwise would be. So it's kind of like that. So obviously we can come down here, we can kill this zombie, and it would be very easy to do so. But then in so doing, it releases the baby zombie, who is faster than a normal baby zombie. And oftentimes it has a hard time actually getting to you, but if it can get, you know, it can get a good few hits in if you're not paying attention, or especially if you are being bombarded by other mobs at, you know, while facing this thing, it can be kind of a problem. It doesn't have a lot of health, but it can still pose a good bit of a threat. There is some counterplay to this mob, like there is in The Binding of Isaac, wherein you can just kill the little guy first and then kill the big guy, so that way you don't have to deal with the little guy scurrying around and being janky and doing a bunch of damage to you, and just overall being a nuisance. So yeah, that's the first mob variant. Before we move on, I want to show this little screenshot here that I saw during testing. This guy just spawned naturally, and I thought it was really funny. Of course, this appearing in-game is going to be a very rare occurrence, so I'm not going to, like, take it out. I think it would just be, like, a fun little thing to encounter. But just know that this can happen. This is a thing that can exist. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we have the Tactical Skeleton. You can tell it's a tactical skeleton because of the particle effect that's being emitted from its kind of, like, leg level. Otherwise, there's not really any visual way to differentiate this between, or from like a normal skeleton. But what makes this one interesting and it makes it unique, besides the particle effects, of course, is its behavior. Now, of course, at a distance, it looks like and behaves like just a regular skeleton. But if you get close enough to actually go in to kill it, it'll swap to a sword and try to, you know, beat the player into submission. Obviously, it's not super hard of an enemy to take down, but it does definitely provide a bit of a scare, and I think it's one of the more unique variants I've created so far. Also, the implementation of this mob takes advantage of what I'd like to think is a kind of little known Minecraft mechanic, which is that skeletons, when holding swords, will just behave like any other kind of melee attacker mob. They'll just run straight towards the player. Obviously, you'll never encounter a skeleton with a sword in normal vanilla gameplay, so I think it'd be cool to see some people's reactions to just how differently the skeleton behaves from what they're used to. Next up, we have the Arcane Skeleton. Now, the Arcane Skeleton comes in 6 different variants. Here we have 3 of them, and as you can see here, they're already kicking my ass. But basically, they shoot various kinds of tipped arrows, and the tipped arrow that they shoot is determined by the color of armor that they're wearing. As I said, there are 6 different kinds. There is darkness and blindness. There is poison, weakness, slowness, and infestation. So here we have the poison, darkness, and infestation. I think this is the infestation one, right? Yeah. So apart from having tipped arrows and special armor, they don't really have any special kind of unique properties. But killing them will sometimes allow you to get their respective armor pieces. Here, I got one just now. Now, what makes these armor pieces unique is that they actually provide resistances to their respective debuffs. So this is the Shadow Helm, which dropped from the Shadow Arcane Skeleton, which is the one that inflicts the Darkness debuff. So if I then wear this and I try to give myself the Darkness effect, it'll instantly go away. It completely nullifies the effect. And as I'm sure you notice, you don't have to be wearing both pieces of the Shadow Armor in order to actually achieve this effect. So what this means is that you can actually mix and match different pieces from different sets to achieve nullification to multiple effects. So for example, I could wear the Toxic Helm to nullify the poison effect, and I can wear the, say, Frenzied Tunic to nullify the infestation effect. So I can, if I try to give myself poison now, it doesn't apply. And if I try to give myself infestation, or infested, it also doesn't apply. So it allows you some creativity with how you approach and strategize around these like new like items, and I thought that was a really cool thing to do. And obviously it's cool as well because you can leave these 2 slots for your actual like defensive armors that'll apply far more defense than what this, you know, it's still leather, you know, at the end of the day, so it's not very defensive, but you can obviously use these additional slots, and these can all still be enchanted and repaired in an anvil and behave pretty much identically to normal armor, barring that you can't combine them in a crafting table because they'll lose their attributes and turn back into normal leather, which is the same for the reinforced iron helmet from the last video too. So next up we have the Creeper. Now, on first glance, this Creeper looks quite unassuming, but the astute of you may have noticed that it's marginally bigger than a normal Creeper, which the even more astute of you may have come to the conclusion that it is more destructive than the average Creeper, which it is. It has a longer fuse time, but a far more devastating explosion. Now, I didn't want my arena to get destroyed, so I didn't actually blow it up. But I'm over here in some just basic, you know, natural terrain that I don't really care if it gets blown up or not. And you can see here that it's going to explode in a pretty sizable explosion. One that is, you know, quite a lot bigger than just the generic Creeper. This is accommodated for by the longer fuse time, so you have more time to react and get away from it. Otherwise, there will be just a massive crater in the ground, which is not ideal for anybody. Now, on the flip side of that coin, we have the mini Creeper, which I like to call the Meeper, and it's quite devastating also.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Now, lastly, of the mob variants, we have these spiders, of which there are 2 different variants. The first of which is the Roulette Spider, which is the one you're seeing here. As you can see, they have various potion effects. Now, the potion effect that these spiders receive, they pick from a pool of 5 different effects, and each of them has a 1 in 3 chance to apply. What this means is that you can get roulette spiders that have no effects at all, or they can have all 5 effects, which is exceedingly rare, but it can happen, I suppose. And they get to be quite scary. Now, of the ones we're seeing here, obviously you can see one has invisibility, or rather you can't see that it has invisibility. This one has regen. The yellow particle is strength, and the blue one is speed. And yeah, they're pretty scary, and they can swarm around you pretty easily, as you can tell. Now, in case your spiders weren't spidering enough, you have these new mini variants of spiders which spawn in groups of 5. So anytime a spider spawns, there's a chance that it's replaced by 5 of these little mini spiders. And they don't have a lot of health, and they don't do a lot of damage, but they can swarm you. And again, they are kind of dangerous in the midst of you know, combat with other mobs, for example. But these can just be pretty easily disposed of. If you can land your shot. The last thing I wanted to show with the mobs themselves is that spiders are capable of being ridden by the special skeleton variants. This one's climbing on the barrier. And as you can see, they still function completely normally. You can see we have the tactical skeleton here. We have 2 arcane skeletons of the same type over there. And also, one more thing you'll notice is that skeleton just shot that other skeleton, and notice how they aren't shooting each other back. This is because they're on the same team. You can create teams using a team command. And if 2 entities are on the same team, they will never attack each other, even if one does damage to the other. So that way you can get, say, snow golems that won't attack, you know, creepers or things of the manner. But in this case, I'm using it to prevent infighting between skeletons. Also, this guy is really scary when he pulls the sword out on the spider. Oh my god. Jesus. So these mobs do just spawn naturally in the world. As you can see, I've just spawned in a bunch of every mob that I've actually modified. And you can see that not all of them are the special versions, but a lot of them are. You see we have a couple tank zombies over here. We have a naturally occurring spider jockey over here. These ones are actually really cool because the skeleton can actually just get on the spider too. You don't have to necessarily spawn as a jockey. The skeleton will just get on a spider if it's in close enough proximity to it, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, you can see we have the mini creepers. You can see we have the the nuclear creepers, which I think that one might be one. I'm not sure. It's hard to see, actually. It's kind of hard to tell the difference at a distance. I think this is the big one, right? Yeah, that's a bigger one right there. So the odds for these spawning are very customizable. So you'll see some of these more than you'll see others. Now that we've covered all of the big content, I wanted to take some time to actually delve into the technical side of things, just kind of show how some of these new systems work. For those of you who may be curious, so I'm just gonna this will be kind of all no script, just kind of parsing through some of the different things and looking at some of the stuff that I think is kind of cool to round out the video. So right here we see we have the hostiles team, which is the team I was mentioning earlier. Any hostile mob or any mob that kind of is generally meant to attack the player, such as the spider, which is technically a neutral mob, is in this team, and any mob that spawns will be added to this team that fits any of these criteria. Also, villagers will be removed from this team because they can be on it if they are a zombie villager and are then cured. So that's how this works. And again, any mob that's on this team does not intentionally attack any other mob on this team, which is why there's no skeleton infighting, why there's no anything like that. I did leave the snow golems and iron golems off of this list because I could have made it harder and just make it by making the snow golems and iron golems completely useless in gameplay because they wouldn't attack the mobs, but I figured that kind of just defeats the point of them as a feature, so I left that alone. Down here we have the armor effects, which is just this checks every tick to see if you have any of the status effects that are removed by any of these skeleton armors. And then we have boat interactions, which I didn't actually get any footage of, but anything that's on the hostiles team will instantly break a boat within their proximity, because oftentimes people will just like to place a boat down to trap a mob, and that way it's incredibly easy to deal with, because you can use this on endermen or creepers or zombies or skeletons or anything like that. But now they will just straight up break the boat. I wanted to implement something similar for chest boats, but then I realized that could be problematic if a mob just happens to meander over to where a chest boat is and break one with all the stuff, even if you weren't trying to trap it. So instead, any mob on the hostiles team will just get out of, they'll just straight up dismount the boat and leave it alone. Up here we have the functionality for the tactical skeleton, which checks every tick if there's a player within 6 blocks of it. And if there is, it'll swap over to that. Here, we can pull that up really quick. Can I can't jump to it. Skeleton, tactical, here we go. So this is just the code for that, where it'll literally just see, hey, if there's a player within 6 blocks, and it's holding a bow, it'll swap to a sword, and then vice versa. And then here's also the particle effect for that mob as well. We also have the logic for whether or not a skeleton could ride on a spider. Both the skeleton and spider have to be eligible, so it has to be a rideable spider and a rider skeleton, because not all skeletons should be able to ride all spiders. For example, those little mini spiders that are spawned, these ones, the cluster spiders, these ones that are super small and have a very low scale and whatever, you wouldn't want to have a skeleton riding one of those because it's small, it's microscopic, it doesn't really make sense thematically. You'd obviously want a spider that's a bigger size. So this one is inherently ineligible. See, the tag is removed here, but it's applied by default over here. So it just goes in and takes that back out. And you can also see the way I got rid of the actual spider when it spawns to replace it with the big ones is it literally just teleports it into the void. So it's effectively the same as just despawning it outright. I can't find I don't know of any way to despawn a mob without using /kill, and /kill is messy because it leaves drops behind and also the puff of smoke and things like that. So this is the best way I could find just to quote unquote despawn something, because it's far enough away that it'll end up dying or despawning before ever being an issue. Over here we have the code for the different new armor sets that I've added, and these are all just kind of the same thing, where it's using a piece of custom data. Any piece of armor that's dropped has a custom data that's attached to it. So for example, the infestation skeleton will drop the frenzied armor, which has a tag infestation repellent true, and so the game just detects if you're wearing a piece of armor that has the infestation repellent true tag, it'll clear you of the infested debuff. And that's the case for all 6 of the armor sets. Over here we have the code for the zombie. 10% of zombies are a tank, 5% of them are a mother zombie. We can show this with a pie chart. Same thing for the spider. 5% of them are a pack of 5 spiders. 30% of them are the roulette spiders, and the remaining percent are not. Now, again, what's interesting about the roulette spiders here is that they can have a varying degree of buffs that they have, ranging from 1 to 5 different buffs, each of them with a 1 in 3 chance to spawn. So using that, we can actually do some math to determine the likelihood of any spider that spawns being a spider with all 5 of these buffs, taking into account the chance for a roulette spider to spawn on its own, and then the individual 1 in 3 chances. The math for that will be on screen right now. And the same thing for the skeleton as well. We have a 10% chance for a tactical skeleton and a 30% chance for an arcane skeleton. And then these are also split up into various likelihoods. So each of the 6 has a 5% chance of spawning. And this can be tweaked later on if I ever find it necessary to do so. But like right now, they're all 5%. And to round it out, we have the creeper, which has a 15% chance for the nuclear creeper and a 20% chance for the meeper, or the mini creeper. And all these functions that are being run are just the functions that will convert the creeper into its modified version, or not the creeper, but whatever mob is in question, right? So this is it's as simple as a data merge command that will change the data of the creeper into whatever. So we have the nuclear one, we have the mini one, and that's the case for like most of these mobs down here as well, where there's just like fundamental changes or just whatever code needs to run when a mob is converted to its modified variant. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know by leaving a like or by commenting. Also comment if you have any ideas for how to improve the pack further. Next video, we're going to be tackling food and how to get it and how to make it harder to get and stuff like that. I have a very loose kind of idea for what's going to be going on moving forward. But if you have any ideas outside of that, please do let me know. I got some really cool ideas and feedback from friends and from the comments on the last one. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this evolves from here. With that said, leave a like, as I say, subscribe, do what you want to do. Peace. Farewell.